They say podcasts are going to replace books. I don't know about that, but I do think TRS Clips will assist your learning process. I'm going to speak about something I've not spoken about on the podcast yet, which was Veer Das's poem, which he performed in the US, and there was a big controversy around it. I actually wish to host Veer Das on the show whenever I can. I do look up to him as an artist, as a stand-up comic, as a writer. But I'm not completely in agreement with what he did because he portrayed a dark aspect of India out there on a public forum in America. I think it was called Two Indias, where he spoke about one great aspect of it, about the culture and spiritualism. And then he backed it up with like the Islamophobia and all that the world knows India as today. Every single country in today's day and age is a mixed bag. That's what's crucial. We're not saying that India is better than America or America is not as good as other countries and all that. But the truth is that we live in an age where every single country is a mixed bag. Every single country has its own problems. This particular, we'll probably address. Would you like to say anything about the
Absolutely. So I would like to say something that most people won't like. Many people won't like. I call him a brown coolie. It's not a very flattering thing to say. There are certain people who, in order to curry favor in the West, specialize in what some would say shitting on their own people. You know, you go outside your country and you denigrate your own culture, your own people, and you try to amplify the overall impression that the people in that country have about India. So if you look at the overall depiction of India in the Western media, in the US media, whether it's the Washington Post, whether it's the New York Times, they always try to denigrate India. When India did this world record of 103 satellite launches in one rocket, they put up this cartoon of India trying to enter the elite space club with a cow. Right? So they always try to put this colonial backward image of India. And that's how they would like to see India. It's a very Hindu-phobic image of India. India is a backward country with a primitive, barbaric, pagan culture where you have whatever phobia and women are downtrodden and minorities are downtrodden. These are all lies. I disagree with this completely. And Veer Das, in order to become famous there, went there and made all these statements on a public stage, which I think is shameful. He should be ashamed of himself.
I want to quote Joe Rogan as well. Joe Rogan constantly talks about the media world in America being entirely governed by the left wing. And for the record, I feel I'm personally centrist. I'm not on either side. That's just my political opinion from a overall, even international perspective. I feel, why should there even be two wings? There's probably a little bit of good on both sides. But Joe Rogan himself has said that most of the media world, Hollywood, the television industry is very kind of tends to left in America. Most of it, other than I think Fox News, which is leaning towards right. And in Hollywood circles, in acting circles, in these kind of circles, basically the media world of America, you have to say the politically correct things, which in that particular circle is stuff that would please the left wing.
Yes.
And maybe this is an echo of that same...
Maybe. He just wants to succeed there. I mean, he's an outsider. He wants to become one of the inner circle. And to do that, you have to please them, whoever is in power. You cannot say things they won't like. Otherwise, you will get no visibility whatsoever. And you will be out. To get in, you have to play the game. And you have to act the part. And so he's willing to do that. He's fine to do that. I mean, whatever, for good or bad, he's doing it. He's succeeding. He's getting invited for podcasts. I'm sure that he's a reasonably well sought after comedian. I don't find any of his comedy funny. Comedy is funny when you're not making fun of a certain class of people or a certain group of people. When you're making fun of human nature, that's when you're funny. I understand what comedy is, what humor is. When you make fun of yourself, that's funny. When you make fun of human nature as a whole, that's funny. When you make fun of a certain political segment of society, it's not funny. It's unfunny. So I don't understand this political humor. When you're just trying to appease one certain political class of people, that is not funny whatsoever. That's politics. You're just pandering to politics when you do that. And that's what Veer Das is doing. I don't think he's a talented comedian. I think I don't have a high regard for him. Others may disagree. That's fine. It's my personal opinion.
I actually want to invite Veer Das on the show.
You should go ahead and do that.
Yeah, like...
hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I want to know what his perspective was, honestly. Like, no matter how much we know about this situation, maybe he has his own side of the story.
I'm sure.
I believe he hadn't entirely grown up in India. So maybe the picture he has of India as a culture is kind of driven from the narrative he got growing up.
Neither did I grow up in India fully. I spent part of my formative years outside the country.
How is that? How is it like growing up outside India as an Indian?
You know what? When I was growing up outside of India, in Europe, in Switzerland, I was, to be honest, ashamed of being Indian. India had a very, very negative portrayal in Europe. India was regarded as a place of incredible poverty, incredible backwardness, backward culture, primitive culture, misogyny, backward religion. Hinduism is dirty and it's all that sort of thing. So I never spoke about being Indian, about my culture or anything. I was kind of ashamed of being associated with India. That's how I grew up for a few years. It's only after I came back to India and I traveled to other places, I got a more 360-degree worldview. And then when I started studying and researching history and all of that, that's when I started understanding what India really is. And that's when I slowly began to realize all these portrayals are lies and distortions, and they have a certain agenda behind them.
This is what I feel about most of the left wing in our country, that they've not traveled in the interiors as much.
I haven't traveled in the interiors of India. I've traveled outside of India. I have not explored India anywhere as much as I would want to. But I have explored India through writings, through my scholarly activities, through years and hundreds and thousands of years of study and researching history. Not just Indian history, but world history. That kind of puts you in the perspective of the entire world and what happened there. When you see the effect of colonialism with other countries, in Africa, in South America, in North America, even the effect of colonialism itself in Europe itself, because the true culture of Europe has been wiped out, which nobody realizes. So once you start to see all of that, then you realize what the patterns are and you start to understand what the distortions are. Because the same assault that was done on Europe's pre-Christian culture happened later on in India. The same tactics, the same brutality, the same attempt to portray the Indian culture as primitive and barbaric. It has to be replaced by something superior. So once you study all that, you get a better understanding of things. So even though I spent some of my formative years abroad, I now have a different idea of how things are based on actual data.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out the entire episode and also check out this playlist that we've curated just for you.